Hey, it's Jamie Moore here. You're on the League of Ireland podcast from Off the Ball Towers here in Dublin. Very special guest in studio, a man who'll be leading the Bohemians U19s into the UEFA Youth League in Denmark this week against FC Midtjylland. The first leg takes place in Denmark this coming Wednesday, with the return leg at Daleyman Park in 3 weeks' time on October 24th. Andy Lyons, captain of Bohs, how are you?
How are you, Jamie? How's things?
Thanks for coming in. Andy is the Bohs U19s captain. He's also played a number of times for the first team this season, most recently in a win at Richmond Park against St. Pat's, and also the nephew of the late, great Mr. Johnny Lyons, who was one of my best mates in our sports editor here for 10 years, who died very sadly a few years ago. So we'll speak about that in a few minutes' time, Andy. But first of all, UEFA Youth League on Wednesday in Denmark. What's your thoughts on facing FC Midtjylland?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's going to be a good test, good experience. You know what I mean? They're obviously going to be a good side. Like, you know what I mean? Danish champions of their, they won the Danish league, so they're going to be a tough test. You know what I mean? But we worked hard to get there. You know, last year we beat Pats in the final, the under-19s, and obviously. Winning that, we obviously get into Europe this year. Thanks to Red Bull Salzburg, they dropped a 2-0 lead, and thankfully that means that we get through.
So you were waiting to find out if you were going to get in, because when you win the under-19 league, it means you have a chance. Last year Cork City played, but you were waiting on results elsewhere to determine if you'd actually be able to get in.
Yeah, so basically we were determined on the Red Bull Salzburg's results, and thankfully they dropped a 2-0 lead. And they didn't win, so that means we got to represent Ireland in the UEFA Youth League against Midtjylland on Wednesday. Okay,
so this is effectively the Champions League for under 18, under 19 players. You must be very excited for the game on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose the big game really is the weekend against Waterford, but obviously it's going to be a great experience and a great test. Obviously, our first time playing in Europe for many of the lads, especially me. So it will be a really good test. They'll obviously have some really good players, but we're looking forward to it. Do you know what I mean? It'll be a good test now.
We're speaking on Monday evening, so when do you fly there and what's the plan? You've been away recently in Scotland with the first team for the Iron Brew Scottish Cup, and I think the 19s have had a couple of trips abroad recently, so it's not the first time you'll have travelled, but how will things work from now to when you play the game on Wednesday night?
Yeah, no, obviously, I'm used to travelling, so all the lads are used to travelling as well. So basically, we're travelling over tomorrow morning, so Tuesday morning, and then obviously we'll probably train Tuesday afternoon, and then we'll play Wednesday and then fly on Thursday. So that's basically the plan. But obviously, as I said before, we're looking forward to the game against Waterford on the weekend. Obviously, that's the big one, I suppose. Obviously, it's an extra bonus really playing against Midtjylland in the UEFA Youth League. Obviously, it'd be a great experience against a good side, but obviously our main focus is really against Waterford the weekend. And as I said, it's an extra bonus playing the UEFA Youth League.
Yeah, the Bohs first team are playing Waterford this week, plus of course a cup replay against Cork on Monday as well of next week. What do you expect from FC Midtjylland, and have you done much video analysis on them, and what do you know about them? Because I think it'll definitely be a step up from playing here in Ireland to playing against a team like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it's going to be a big step up. Do you know what I mean? Like they're obviously the Danish champions, so they're the best in their country, as are we. But obviously it's going to be a step up, as you said. I suppose definitely from under 19s anyway. They'll move the ball quickly. They play out from the back, and they're going to be a real threat for sure.
Of course, your under-19 team has done really well. You won the Cup a couple of weeks ago against St. Pat's. You've managed to finish in the top 4 of the league to qualify for the knockout stages in the under-19 league as well. So you've had good momentum, and you'll be hopeful to be able to carry that into this game on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, obviously, if you look at last year as well, we won the under-19s league, and then coming to this year, we won the Cup as well. So obviously, we haven't lost in a few games now, so we're in good reign of form. So we're looking to go over to Denmark and get a win, I suppose, and then obviously we look forward to the quarterfinals against Waterford.
How do things work in this competition? So you play FC Midtjylland over 2 legs, and then if you win or if you lose, you're out. But if you win, what happens?
Yeah, no, I'm not exactly sure now, to be honest with you. I suppose if we win, I think we go into another round, and then it's Basel or Hamilton in the next round. So obviously Basel from Switzerland, Hamilton from Scotland. So if we beat Midtjylland Wednesday, we go into another round, and then I think there may be another round after that, and then I think go to the group stage. But I'm not 100% sure, as I said, but I think that's the way it works anyway. Okay,
and how much are you looking forward to being the captain, leading the team out? There's probably some type of European music, and it is, as we said, the best European competition you can play in at your age.
Yeah, I suppose it's a great honour, obviously, captain Bohs at any age, you know what I mean? I suppose even better in the UEFA Youth League in Europe, you know what I mean, representing them. So it'll be great. It's always a great honour, as I said. I'm really looking forward to it. I suppose all the lads are as well.
Yeah, and of course this Bohs under-19 team as well have Have a number of young players in the squad who've played for the first team recently as well. We saw Ali Regba recently score twice against St. Pat's. He scored the both goals in the 19 Cup final as well. He'll be in the squad, and there's a number of other players who've had first team experience with the first team this season. And Andy, that definitely has to help you running into this game. The fact that a number of your players have played senior football this year and won as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I suppose it's all it's credit obviously to lads, the managers, Secco, under 19s, Ian Morris, and then obviously if you go to the first team with Trev and Keith, obviously giving us the chance, giving the young lads chance, and they always do. They always give you the chance. And I think this season when we've come in, the young lads have done well, and I suppose we've taken our chances, and I suppose the management staff, they trust us now, and I suppose they know they can put us in, and obviously going into UEFA Youth League, we have experience of first team football, and that will benefit us massively. You've
just been seeing an image of you on screen there playing against Dundalk recently. You played in the league game against them and also in the Cup, and you marked Michael Duffy in one match, you marked Dylan Connolly in another match. So talk about getting good experience against senior players. You couldn't have had much more than playing against the best team in the country and two of the best wingers.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I suppose it's always a test against any team in the League of Ireland, but especially them two wingers, I suppose Dylan Connolly and Michael Duffy, they're arguably the two best wingers in the league, if up there anyway. So I suppose it's a great test, and you learn from marking big players like that. Do you know what I mean? You definitely do learn, and that was a real good test, and I thought I fared well anyway against them. But no, it's a great experience against players like that, because they're at the top of the game, and I suppose you learn little things off them. And even the lads like Detzer and the other fullbacks and the experienced lads around the club, they help you with marking the players such as Michael Duffy. And I suppose overall it's a very good experience, I suppose, to play against them. So explain to people watching and listening who aren't aware of your kind of route to the first team this season. You've been at the club for a couple of years, played for the 17s, played for the 19s, but this season you've really got good experience. You've, as you said, played a couple of cup games, started against Bray in a big win, hit the crossbar, even though Soccer Republic said you didn't. You then started the following game against Dundalk because Derek Pender was suspended. He came back, but recently you were put back in against Pats and you played the 90 minutes in a win. So you've had some good first team experience as well as playing for the 19s. Yeah, no, absolutely. I suppose Keith's always there. He gives us a chance. If you're old enough, you're good enough. You know what I mean? So no, last year under 19s, I was on the bench. I was on the bench a few times towards the end of the season. But I never got on them. But this season, I had the experience of being around the first team lads. I was training with them week in, week out. And I suppose even being on the bench last season against the likes of Cork and Dundalk, it's a great experience, and you get a feel for first team football. And I suppose going to this year, it was my aim to go and play first team football, whether it be in the Cup or whether it be in the league. And thankfully, Keith gave him a chance in the Cups, and I did well. So then when Derek Pender got sent off against Sligo, I obviously got my chance to make my league debut against Bray, and as you said, I hit the crossbar and won a penalty, so I was close to scoring. Although I'm a right back, shouldn't be up that far, you know what I mean? But no, obviously then it was completely different playing, I suppose, against Bray, and then to go up against Dundalk the following week. It was obviously a much tougher test against players such as Michael Duffy. As I said, I was marking Michael Duffy. It's a tough test. We lost the game 2-0, but we fared well against, we played good football. And then obviously last week I was put in again against Pats in a game we won 3-1, and it was a very good victory against a good Pats side. So yeah, Andy wasn't very impressed that Soccer Republic decided to give his crossbar shot and the penalty. Was it Dan Casey? It was Dan Casey that was mentioned for both of them, yeah. Dan Casey's the big, muscly centre back. Andy's a right back as well. So you're sitting on the sofa with the family watching Soccer Republic, and you're saying, well, I hit the crossbar, I won a penalty, so I have to get mentioned. And then they say it's Dan Casey. What were you thinking? No, I was sitting on the couch with the family, and I was certain I was going to get mentioned, getting a little shout out, I suppose, from Soccer Republic. And when you look at Dan Casey, a big fella wearing number 4, and I'm a small little fella wearing number 29, different sides of the pitch altogether. I couldn't believe they got it wrong, but look, sure, what can you do? Do you know what I mean? So you're number 29? Number 29, yeah. Okay, nice. So you play against Bray, and then you're staying against Dundalk the next week, and you're going to be playing against Michael Duffy, who's one of the best players in the league, certainly. Patrick McElhenney's flying as well, and there's loads of other really good ones around. But what were you thinking as an 18-year-old? Were you still 17 then? 17 then, yeah. Okay, when you're on the way to Oriel Park, knowing you're going to be playing against Michael Duffy, who's been at Celtic and is ripping up the league here. Yeah, no, it was nerve-wracking, right? You know what I mean? It was very nerve-wracking, I suppose. When you look at a week previous, he scored that goal against Larnaca in the Europa League. So it was a unbelievable goal, that, and you're looking at that thinking, I'm playing against him now. Do you know what I mean? It's obviously going to be a tough test, and obviously there was nerves involved. I suppose I just did my research, and obviously the management staff helped me with that. And even like Derek Pender, he helped me with how to deal with Michael Duffy and the lads around me. They showed me, told me what to do and how to deal with them, etc. So now, obviously going down there, I knew it was going to be a tough test and a good game and a good battle against him, because he is probably the best player in the league at the moment. You know what I mean? So I knew it was going to be a tough test, but I was relishing the opportunity to go and mark him and see how I fared. You know what I mean?
What was it like actually playing against him? And you said you did your research, and I know you're very much into trying to find out bits about the opposition your players you're playing against. But what was it actually like in the 90 minutes against him and the different things that he tried to do?
Yeah, no, I suppose you can only do so much off the pitch. I suppose when it gets on the pitch, it's a different ball game altogether. Do you know what I mean? Like, because in the heat of the moment, you know what I mean, your mind, I suppose, is not really thinking 100%. So you know what I mean. It's hard to get all the information that you got off the pitch and then put it onto the pitch. No, obviously it was a good test. I suppose I thought I fared well. And I suppose the lads around me gave me a dig out, obviously, because I was only 17, like, do you know what I mean? So the lads around me gave me a dig out, and if I did something wrong, they'd always encourage me and tell me what to do next time. And as I said, it was a great opportunity and a great experience marking such a good player. Like. Yeah,
so you played really well in both games, and then the captain Derek Pender suspension ends and he comes back into the team, and you've had to be patient. You train with the team full time, but to get a chance for the first team again, and that probably shows the standard of player in your position, that even though you've done well, the club captain was probably always going to come back in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No complaints. As I said, Derek Pender is the best right back in the league, and he has been for some years now. He's a top class captain, and I suppose I'm just grateful that I can learn things off him. You know what I mean? He's a top player and a top pro, and as I said, I'm just grateful I'm around someone like that, as good a player as he is in his position, and thankfully it's the same position as me, and I can learn well off him.
Now, I would say Sean Gannon from Dundalk wants to take you to task over that. Derek Pender, the best right back in the league, one of them, but Sean Gannon surely up there as well. Team of the year. We were having this debate actually recently. Will every single Dundalk player make team of the year? And that will be interesting to see, because they've been so good this season. Tell me about your first team experience overall, being with the team full time. And Bohs are, in inverted commas, part time, but they train the same number of days midweek as Shamrock Rovers, Dundalk, Cork, St Pat's and so on. But it's in the evenings. But you've been with them full time this year with the best coach in the country in Trevor Crowley, who's been on the podcast this season, and you must have loved that and are still loving it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm loving every training session, love every minute of, you know what I mean? I suppose it is different. It was a bit, obviously I'm going from school and then training with Bohs at night. It obviously is different. But I suppose all the lads are coming in from work. Do you know what I mean? Hard days at work, working part time, working full time, and then obviously playing full time. So no, it is tough. But we have, as you say, the management staff is unbelievable, and obviously the players we have, we're a good side. You know what I mean? We stick together. And obviously you saw the run we've been on, so hopefully we can keep that going. 9 wins in a row, 1 draw of course in the Cup on Sunday against Cork, so that replay is coming up as well. How have you found your name being in the limelight? You're clearly sitting here on a podcast, but a lot of the podcasts have mentioned you. You've been on Soccer Republic, even though at that time they got you wrong. Since then they've got you right. People like Alan Cawley and stuff have been saying how good you've been. How have you found the fact that people in the media have been talking about you in a positive way? Yeah, no, I suppose it's obviously a lot different from when you're at schoolboy level. Do you know what I mean? When no one really talks about you, I suppose. But like, you hear these on the radio and you hear people talking about you. But you know what I mean? You got to stick to your football and not really reading too much into it. You know what I mean? You just got to stick to what you're doing, and I suppose keep on playing, keep on training well, and don't really buy too much into it. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it's good to get people talking about you, but you don't really read too much into it. I suppose you just stick to what you're doing and keep playing well and try play as best you can.
Do you enjoy that spotlight and the fact that people think you're a good player? They say you're a good player, and maybe when you're playing now, you're not. It's not in your head too much, but you're still going to go, well, if they're saying I'm a good player, I've got to continue to play well and try and get better.
Yeah, I suppose it is good. It's a good thing to hear people to hear people talking about you and speaking highly of you. Do you know what I mean? It's a good thing to hear, and I suppose it boosts your confidence in a way as well, because you hear people talking on the radio about you, and that's why it does boost your confidence, I suppose. But as I said, it's all about what you do on the pitch, and if you're doing well on the pitch, I suppose people will talk about you, but you can't really buy too much into it. You know what I mean? You just got to concentrate what you do on the pitch.
The Bohs first team seem to be a really close group, and there's been some stuff recently about the likes of the senior pros, Shane Supple and Ian Morris and Derek Pender, and how they've kind of helped the younger boys. What's it been like to be around players like that and others in the squad? Rob Cornwall, Dan Byrne are not that old, but they're experienced players. Dinny Corcoran the same, and then there's been a good kind of cluster of youth around as well.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. You know, I suppose when you walk in the dressing room, you look at the experienced players that we have. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose coming into the first team as a 16, 17-year-old, you know, you need a bit of help. You know what I mean? You need a bit of people talking to you. You know what I mean? You need that kind of bit of advice from the older pros that have been through it all. They've been at the same stage you have been at, and you know what I mean. They do help you, like such players as Bucko, Detzer, Supple, Ian Morris, all these kind of lads. They look after you, and I suppose when you're coming in as a 17-year-old, it is you're kind of thinking like, geez, I've never been here before. Do you know what I mean? And they look after you, and you know, I'm very thankful that they did look after me. And I suppose because it is a big step up when you're stepping up from 17s then to 19s into first team. It's a massive step up, but they helped me with it a lot, absolutely.
Yeah, and you've also recently started for the Irish under-19s as well. If we can have a look, John, at a couple of images of Andy playing for the under-19s. Ireland are going to have 3. There you are in action. I think last season, or is that this season? Is that the...
That was under-18s against Romania, yeah.
Okay, so you played both games against Romania as well. And nice hairstyle as well for the photographer, of course. And you played recently for the 19s as well in Galway against Turkey, a game I was at, having come home from Scotland, playing for the first team with Bohs in the Iron Blue Scottish Cup. And the Irish under-19s have 3 European Championship qualifiers in the next couple of weeks, all at City Calling Stadium in Longford. They play Bosnia-Herzegovina, they play the Faroe Islands, and then they play against the Dutch, Holland, who of course Andy's uncle Johnny. Interesting to see who he had been cheering for in that match, but you've been named in the squad, Andy, and looking forward to hopefully being in that team for 3 European Championship qualifiers, playing for your country.
Yeah, no, as I say, it's a huge honour to represent my country. I suppose no matter who's it's against, you're representing your country, and it's a massive honour. And I suppose it's going to be a tough test against a good Dutch team, Bosnia, a good side, and Faroe Islands as well. Like, do you know what I mean? So I suppose they're going to be tough tests, and we're hoping to come out on top of the group. You know, that's where we're going to beat all teams. We're going to win the group, and that's what we're going to play for.
One team qualifies or 2, or how does it work? Do you know?
I think it's 2. Yeah.
Okay, so you finish top 2, you get through, and you would think it might be the Dutch, the top team, maybe the favourites, but the Irish 19s and the 17s before have performed really well in recent seasons, and you'll be hopeful if you can pick up the first 2 games against Bosnia, and especially the Faroes, it puts you into that Holland game hopefully in a great position to try and get top 2, if not top.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, we're going there, I suppose, to get all 9 points out of the 3 games, and we're looking to top the table. And I suppose our main focus now is the game against Bosnia, which is obviously going to be a cup final. It's going to be a massive game. And we're looking to get the 3 points, and then obviously go on to the Faroes games, and then we'll look forward to Dutch. You know, we've done our research on all 3 teams. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses. So, you know, we're looking forward to that.
What's it like playing for Ireland in Ireland, in front of friends, family, in these type of games? Because you wanted to have played more for Ireland. You've not been capped as much as you would have wanted, but you're a real late developer in terms of you're now one of the top players in your age group, and I think will probably be in the starting team. But playing for Ireland in Ireland, wearing the green, standing there for the national anthem, your family and friends there watching, and being a boy in green in Ireland. Yeah, no, it's a massive honour, I suppose. As you just said it there. I suppose in front of all your family, your friends, it makes a big difference. You know, I made my debut last year over in Spain, and thankfully my dad and my sister came over, so that was obviously great. But I suppose when you're playing here, you have all your mates here, and you have all your friends, you have all your family and your extended family, etc. So it's an honour, obviously, to play for your country, but to play in front of your family as well. It's a great honour. Now, it's an honour, but an honour is kind of a cliche, which everyone says. But what's it actually like playing for your country, particularly for you, when you've seen other peers in your age group at 15 and 16 and 17 playing, and you're not picked, and now you're picked, and you're in a really good position to play well, like the match against Turkey in Galway, you played really well in, and there must be a great sense of achievement there for you, given that you've had to wait your time to get into the squad. Yeah, no, obviously I've waited a few years. You know, under 16s, I did my cruciate and I was out for 8 months, so it was hard looking at the lads going into the under 17s Euros, knowing that I couldn't really be a part of it because I was only coming back from injury. You know, it was hard to take, I suppose. But obviously now we're looking at the under 19s Euros, and as you say, it's a bit of a cliche saying it's an honour, but it is. You know, you're representing your family, you're representing your friends, your club, everything, and obviously your country. At the end of the day, you know, that's what you're representing your country. So you know, it was hard. You know, it took time to get into the setup, and I suppose looking at all the lads in your team, you know, playing for Ireland, and there you're injured or else you're not playing, you're on the sideline, whatever. You know, it is tough to take, but thankfully my chance came around, and I'm still in the squad, I suppose. I'm not sure if it's a coincidence or not, but there's an FA Ireland match programme from 1993 sitting behind you on the wall there. So there you go. You were born in 2000?
Yeah, 2000.
So that makes me feel very old. But yeah, I just saw that there on screen. So 1993 FA Ireland match programme as well. So you'll play in those 3 European Championship qualifiers. You'll be back to Bohs then, and there's some interesting 90th games coming up. Hopefully some more first team appearances. Hopefully an FAI Cup final as well. You're back to school though. You're doing your leaving cert. How have you found the balance of that? You're going to miss probably 2 weeks with Ireland. You've been away with Bohs for Scotland, etc., etc. And you mentioned about a lot of the Bohs first team working, but you're in school all day and you're trying to study for exams also.
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre, right? I suppose, I'm coming up from school and they're all working. They finished school 20 odd years ago, do you know what I mean? Like, so it is, whatever, probably not 20 odd years ago, 10 odd years ago, do you know what I mean? So it's a bit bizarre coming in from school.
You're not that old.
Yeah, I know. So it's a bit bizarre, obviously, coming in from school, studying for your leaving cert, and then going training, and then actually, in my case, having gone back to study, have to go study after training. Like, so it's a bit bizarre and a bit of a weird coincidence, or I suppose it's a weird situation that I'm in, like that I'm actually going to school, training, and then actually going back to study again. I suppose no, but it's all about balance. You know what I mean? You have to get the balance right. I suppose if I wasn't playing football, I don't know what I'd be doing with myself. Do you know what I mean? You'd be on the books, in the books all day, like, so you couldn't really do that. You need your spare time. So obviously I do that with football, and wouldn't rather do anything else with it.
Is it hard, given the League of Ireland season runs in the summer and you've had kind of 4 months of freedom to be a full-time footballer and go to the gym and eat properly and sleep properly, etc., and now you're back to being up at 6, half 6, 7 in the morning, going all day, and then having to go to training at night, even in terms of trying to eat properly and stuff, and study and have a life away from both of those things? Yeah,
I suppose it's quite hard to find time sometimes. You know what I mean? You're up early into school, then you're straight out to training, then you're straight back home. So I suppose with regards to gym sessions and all that kind of stuff, and it is kind of hard to fit them in. No, but obviously it's good. It's good for your learning, my development. Do you know what I mean? It has to be done. So obviously study hard and keep up with the football as well. Obviously the football season finishes in November, so we'll get the head into the books then for the next 2 months, whatever, until we're back in pre-season, and then it's back to balancing it all again. And then we'll hopefully get the leaving cert done and then concentrate on football after that.
England ambitions? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to play for Bohs? What's the long-term plan? Because everyone's dream is to go. We were speaking off air about some of your St Joseph's boys team, the likes of Glenn McCauley at Liverpool, and there's other players in the UK, Ryan Burke and Joe Redmond are in Birmingham. There's the likes of Aaron Bulger and Brandon Kavanagh doing similar to you, playing in Ireland for Shamrock Rovers and in school or college. So do you have a kind of a long-term master plan?
Yeah, I suppose it's my ambition. Obviously, I think it's probably everyone's ambition to go to England at some stage or go abroad anyway. But obviously, I'm getting my leaving cert done first, you know what I mean, getting my leaving cert done, and I suppose we'll see what happens after then. If college comes knocking around and England doesn't, we'll go to college. And I suppose if England comes knocking, it's obviously my ambition to go to England, but I love playing at Bohs at the moment, and obviously, get the leaving cert done first and we'll see what happens then. It's the Off the Ball League of Ireland podcast with Jamie Moore here, speaking to Bohs under-19s captain and first team player and Ireland international Andy Lyons. We've spoken all about the football, and now we're going to speak about a very special man who's about to appear on your screen, Mr. Johnny Lyons. There he is. What a man. That picture taken shortly before he died, very sadly, in August 2015. Johnny was my boss here for 10 years. I came to 98FM as a 16-year-old and never really left, and I now present the show that Johnny used to present, and Johnny was and is Andy's uncle. That's what I call Johnny. A very special show we did for Johnny the week he died as well, a 3-hour special, which if you haven't heard it, you can still find it now in the podcast sections of our websites. Andy, we miss him very much, but I know he was a massive influence on me and on you as a young footballer. Speak to me about Johnny, your uncle, the legend. Yeah, no, it was obviously I love him so much, you know what I mean. It was really hard to see him pass away in 2015, you know what I mean. It really hit me hard, I suppose, because his love for football, and obviously when I was playing, it was a really tough thing to take. It was a really big loss. But his love for football, and I suppose that's partly the reason I got into football. Him and my dad, do you know what I mean? Like their love for football, and I suppose that's how I got in. And as you were saying earlier about his love for the Dutch, it's a bit mad that actually last year I made my international debut against the Dutch over in Spain. You know what I mean? So my league debut was actually against Holland, which the national side that he loves so much, along with Ireland. You know what I mean? So I suppose it's always tough to take, but I know he's looking over us. Who would he have been up for, on a serious note, when his nephew, and any time before I knew you, he'd come into the office, right, here in 98FM and Off the Ball and News Talk, where he does stuff in Today FM as well, and Andy was playing for St Joseph's Boys at the time, and my dad John managed the Belvedere team against them, right, and they used to have great matches, All-Ireland finals, the whole shebang, and Johnny used to absolutely hammer me when Joey's won, and I'd hammer him when Belvo won. Now Belvo, of course,
won more than Joey's, didn't they?
No, absolutely.
But, who would he been up for Andy's Ireland against Holland?
I suppose his love for Dutch only come so far. I think because I was playing for my country, I think he'd have to support Ireland, but I hope he would anyway, do you know what I mean? But no, obviously I think just because I was playing for Ireland, I think he'd support the Irish. What
sort of an influence was he on your football career? Because you were clearly 14 or 15 when he died. You were probably just turning 15.
Yeah.
And he would have been to lots of your games, screaming and roaring on the sidelines, as he used to do on the radio as well. And he was a big supporter of yours from a football point of view, as your dad Morris was. And they were both involved in Mount Merriam for years. And Johnny, no man in my life ever knew more about football than Johnny Lyons did. And I'm sure you were very happy to be able to play in front of him as much as you did, because he was often seen out on the parks on a Saturday or a Sunday cheering you on.
Absolutely. No, I suppose he was always there supporting me. Do you know what I mean? Like when he got the time, he was always out there watching my games. And I suppose after every game I played, you know what I mean, I always get a text off him, or else he'd call me and he always tell me what I did well, what I did wrong, and what I can improve on. I suppose that was really good though, do you know what I mean? Obviously you hear so much from your coaches, and it's always good to get a family member telling you what to do. And I suppose my dad does it every game, but I suppose Johnny as well, he always used to give me advice and help me along with my football, because obviously his vast knowledge of football was he knew everything in the game, he knew everyone in the game. And I suppose getting him out to the matches was a really proud thing.
Yeah, would you believe I got similar messages shortly before he died. Johnny fell over and broke his leg, so I presented Now That's What I Call Sport for maybe 4 weeks, and every Sunday after the show he would send me the same text telling me this was good, this wasn't so good, this is what you should do next week. And you used to get the same, and he was very, very much kind of into you as a young footballer as well, and watching you, and he would have been really proud to be able to see you now. I'm sure, as you said, he's looking down, but he did like to send, and when he used to send emails, they'd be like 16,000 words, and he used to type.
Yeah.
You never saw that, right? But he would type with 2 fingers, and he would literally bang the keyboard, and 98FM now is a quieter place without him, unfortunately. But yeah, he used to send you those texts.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I suppose you learn loads of him, because he's been around the game for so many years. Do you know what I mean? He knows everyone in the game, and you learn a lot off him. You know what I mean? He sees things that maybe your managers mightn't, and maybe you didn't even realise. But he always seemed to catch something you were doing wrong. Do you know what I mean? Even if you played the perfect game, well, you thought you played the perfect game, he'd always pick something out that you didn't do quite so well. Me
and Johnny once played a table tennis match in Sean McDermott Street Park at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning on the way to work. We climbed in, that was great, but then Johnny couldn't climb out. nearly had an accident, but yeah, hilarious stuff. Very good sportsman, big cricket fan as well. Lastly on Johnny, tell us about his ability or lack thereof to play FIFA. Because when he broke his leg, and we spoke about this on the very special show at the time, he moved to live with your family in Naas, and your dad and your mum and your family looked after him, and he tried his hand at FIFA but wasn't very good. Yeah, obviously he broke his leg I suppose in 2015, and he came back to our house in Kildare, and I was out training at the time, and I remember Kenneth, my brother, was playing FIFA, and Johnny was there sitting on the couch with obviously the cast in his leg, and he was very bored. He didn't know what to be doing with himself. There was no football on TV at the time. It was the summer, so he didn't know what to be doing with himself. And Kenneth said, "Listen, come in and play a game of FIFA." And Johnny obviously was looking at him like, "What do you mean, come in and play a game of FIFA? Like, I don't know what I'm doing." Like, and Kenneth says, "No, come in and play a game of FIFA." Like, so Johnny said, I may as well go in and play a game with him. Like, so anyway, he picked up controller anyway, and he's looking at it like, what am I doing with this in my hands? Do you know what I mean? He had no clue what to do with it. And anyway, I came back from training that night, and I just walked in the door, looked in the window, and I see Kenneth and Johnny playing FIFA. And I was like, what's going on here? So I walked in the door anyway. And Kenneth was there giving all the instructions to Johnny, telling him how to play PlayStation. And he just couldn't get it. Like, he just didn't know what to do. And after a while, he gradually got the drift of how to play. But he was nothing special now, but it's a funny old story, so it was, because it was madness. So I was like, never forget the moment I walked in the door, seeing Johnny and my brother playing FIFA. It was hilarious. Yeah, but he certainly wasn't a special FIFA player, but a very special man in our lives as well. We miss him very much, and he would have been very proud of Andy playing and captaining the Bohs 19s this week in the UEFA Youth League against FC Midtjylland from Denmark, which is the reason why we're chatting, and also playing for the first team and for the Irish under-19s, hopefully in the upcoming European Championship qualifiers as well. Andy, very finally, and John, I'm not sure if we can zoom in on Andy's left eye, but just above his left eye there's a lovely scar, right? And there's a story behind this scar involving a clash of heads in training and a certain Keith Ward. So I'm not sure if the viewers can see it, but just over your left eye, lovely scar, loads of stitches. Wardy fairly smashed you, or you smashed him?
Well, no, I think it was a case of him smashing me, to be honest, you know what I mean? The big head of his and all that kind of, you know what I mean? But no, we were down in Dalymount training, I think it was last year sometime, and no, I can't really remember what happened, but he was... we were both turning, and you know, he went down the line, and I remember we both turned into each other, and his head smashed off mine, or maybe it was a case of me smashing off him.
We can see you there now, we're just above your eye there, yes, lovely.
Yeah, that's us. And anyway, yeah, so all of a sudden I hit the ground, we both fell to the ground, and there was blood everywhere, and I was looking at Wardy thinking, you alright, Wardy? Because I thought it was him that I hit, like. And then all of a sudden everyone came running around and goes, Andy, there's a big massive cut in your face. And I didn't know, I couldn't believe it, like, because I wasn't sore at the time, like, do you know what I mean? And anyway, I sat down, and my whole above my eye was all split open, like, and blood gushing everywhere, and apparently it was not a nice sight. But anyway, I got rushed to the Mater Hospital and stayed in there for 7 hours until I got seen and got 15 stitches into my face, so that's a funny old story, I suppose.
Yeah, the battle scars of being a young footballer, and that would have been one of your first team sessions, and that was a great introduction to being a young Bohs footballer. Andy, thanks so much for coming in.
Cheers, thanks for being in, Jamie.
Yeah, great stuff there. Chatting to Andy Lyons. If you want to listen to the rest of the podcast or watch it, you can find it on youtube.com/offtheball, and also in the podcast sections of both Off the Ball and 98fm.com. We're going to preview the First Division playoff first round of games this Friday and Monday. It's Drogheda against Shelbourne in United Park on Friday and in Talca Park on Monday. We're going to speak to Carl Moore, one of Andy's former Bohs teammates who's now playing for Shelbourne, and also Gareth McCaffrey of Drogheda. And it's the 90-year anniversary of Sligo Rovers this week. They're playing Bray on Saturday in the showgrounds at 8:15. They've got loads of great stuff going on. So Keith O'Dwyer, a man who's written a book about the club and he used to work for the club as well, will join us on the podcast to chat all about the club. And a lady called Nancy Callahan, if I can remember her name correctly, who was an elderly Elwyn, right? And she used to sit behind the goal in the showgrounds and roar abuse, including expletives, at the opposition players every week. That interview is well worth a listen, including chatting about Seamus Coleman's rise to fame and loads more besides in the podcast section of Off the Ball at 98fm.com. Thanks for listening and watching, folks, and we'll chat to you next week. See you.